No one tells you that the heart of a 74-year-old woman can still hurt just like that of a 7-year-old girl. That shame, embarrassment, and the fear of being a burden never really go away. They just change names as life goes on. My name is Ella Johnson, and I still remember the smell of stale coffee and the buzz of loudspeakers in the Munich airport on that cold morning. I was there with my rolling suitcase, waiting for my daughter Amanda, my son-in-law Brian, and my granddaughters Chloe and Grace so we could board our long-awaited family vacation. I was just the tag-along, actually the babysitter, but I had already accepted that role. I just wanted to belong. Before boarding, I felt that uncomfortable pressure, one of those aches only people over 60 really know. I tried to hold it, but it was impossible. The grandkids were playing. Amanda was checking her phone. Brian was complaining about the line. I excused myself with an awkward smile. "Amanda, I'll be right back. I just need to run to the bathroom, please." She barely looked at me. "Hurry up, Mom. Don't disappear, please. Boarding is about to start." I rushed off, praying I wouldn't take too long. The airport bathroom felt like a maze, every door too heavy, everything shining from being so clean, and yet it all smelled like loneliness. When I came back a few minutes later, my heart was racing. The boarding gate was empty. I looked around but saw no familiar faces. My cheeks burned. Strange looks, people in a hurry, no one waiting for me. I grabbed my phone and saw a cold, short message from my daughter. "Mom, we had to board. Brian got really upset and said it was better this way. Don't worry. We'll see you at the hotel. Love you. Love you." My God. 3 words had never sounded so hollow. The plane was already gone. I looked at my ticket, looked at my suitcase, looked inside myself. I sat alone in one of those hard plastic chairs, feeling the weight of 74 years, and more than anything, the weight of not being anyone's priority. No one asked if I was okay. No one called to check if I'd be able to board alone later. My oldest granddaughter Chloe posted a selfie on the plane, smiling next to her mom. Grace made a heart with her hands. And me? I just faded away from the screen, from the photo, from their lives. The worst part wasn't being forgotten. The worst part was realizing that, deep down, it wasn't an accident. Brian never wanted me there. Amanda only brought me along to be the babysitter so she and her husband could have a real break. Chloe barely talks to me these days, so busy trying to be a grown-up. At least Grace, the little one, sent me a voice message. "Grandma, don't be sad, okay? Mommy said we'll meet you there. I love you." I cried quietly. I didn't want anyone to see, but nobody was looking anyway. The airport kept moving. The screen flashed. Flights leaving for Paris, Rome, London. All I wanted was my own place in the world. And right there, I realized I was completely alone, and for the first time in many years, free. The whole world in front of me, I just didn't know what to do with it. When the tears dried, I took a deep breath. "Enough, Ella. Either you get up now, or you'll stay on this bench forever. No one's coming back for you." And it was there, in that moment of absolute abandonment, that life decided to play a trick on me. An elegant woman approached, smiling, clipboard in hand, badge from a luxury travel agency. She spoke English with a German accent. "Mrs. Johnson? Are you Ella Johnson?" I nodded, surprised. "Congratulations. You've just been chosen for an unforgettable experience. A month at a paradise resort, all expenses paid. Exclusive for senior passengers traveling alone. Will you accept?" I was speechless. Was this a joke? A scam? But what about my family? She smiled. "The rules are clear. Only those who are here right now can participate. The destination? The Seychelles? Beaches? A 5-star hotel? A private chef? Spa? It was my son-in-law's dream. He'd sent me photos of those turquoise waters for years, always saying only the rich could go. For a moment, I thought about refusing, about calling Amanda, asking what to do, begging them to wait for me. But suddenly, I realized, if I called, I'd just hear more excuses, more guilt, more, "Just stay there, Mom." So for the first time, I thought of myself. Yes, I accept. I accept with all my heart. Her badge sparkled in the airport's cold light. The agent handed me a golden ticket and said, "Your new life starts now." And at that moment, I swear, I felt like my story was only just beginning. In the next chapter, you'll find out how a woman who was cast aside became the star of a real-life fairy tale, and how a simple yes can change the course of a lifetime. If you've ever been through something like this, leave a comment and share this story with someone who needs to believe in new beginnings. And if you want to hear even stronger stories, without ads, join the VIP group using the link in the pinned comment. On my way to the VIP counter, my hands were shaking so much I could barely hold my passport. The German employee, polite but distant, called me by my last name. "Mrs. Johnson, this way please." As I walked, I felt the eyes of other passengers on me. Some noticed my golden wristband, the symbol of the drawing, but most didn't even see me. I'd spent years like this, invisible to those I loved, useful only when it suited them. Now, I seemed invisible even to the world. The travel agent, smiling and gentle, literally opened doors for me. "I'll arrange your direct transfer to the hotel, Mrs. Johnson. Your flight to the Seychelles leaves tomorrow morning. Tonight, you'll be our guest at the Hilton Airport Hotel. Is there anyone you'd like to notify?" I almost said, "my daughter," but I thought better of it. "No, thank you. They're probably already in another country, enjoying their vacation." I gave a sad smile. Inside, I just felt empty. In the mirrored elevator at the hotel, I looked at myself closely for the first time in years. The wrinkles, the tired expression, the dull hair. But there was something different. A strange light, a spark of rebellion. It was the first real yes I'd said to myself since the divorce. I was 59 when Brian came into my daughter's life. Polite, handsome, but with a sharp arrogance. He was the kind of man who pretends to admire strong women, but really just wants to keep them close as luxury housekeepers. Their wedding was beautiful, but I never forgot the look of disapproval he gave me every time I spoke. To him, I was just the lady with the pension. Amanda, my daughter, she changed, became cold, calculating, and I accepted my role as the grandkids' babysitter because that was all that was left. My thoughts went back to the airport bathroom, to the reason for all of this. Old lady problems, that's what they think, as if I'm no longer worthy of respect. And now, look at me, I'm the one going to paradise. I had dinner alone at the hotel's elegant restaurant, watching smiling families, couples in love, young people making plans. That night, I wished only for one thing. May I have the courage to stop blaming myself. May I never again accept crumbs just for company. My phone vibrated. No messages from the family, only Facebook notifications. Chloe posted a photo. Grace shared a story. In the spacious hotel room, I slowly unpacked my suitcase. I took out my favorite white blouse, a dress I'd never had the courage to wear. "Why waste money on yourself, Ella?" my ex-husband would say whenever I dreamed big. There, leaning against the window overlooking the brightly lit runway, I thought of all the no's I'd heard, from my ex-husband, my daughter, my son-in-law. They all preferred me small, obedient, invisible. The next morning, the agency's driver was waiting for me. I was treated like a queen. In the exclusive lounge, the coffee tasted like hope. When the plane took off, I looked down at the clouds and smiled. A different smile, one just for me. I was leaving, not to escape, but to begin. I arrived in the Seychelles with my heart racing. I was welcomed by a team with flower leis, coconut water, and a suite facing the bluest sea I'd ever seen. I sent a photo to Amanda and Brian. "I made it safely. Enjoy your trip." No reply. I went for a walk alone on the sand. The wind, the salty air, the strong sun on my skin. For the first time, I wasn't the forgotten grandma. I was just Ella, a woman rediscovering her own life. I thought of my granddaughters. I missed them, but it didn't hurt the way it used to. In that moment, I was the main character of my own story. At the end of that day, I sat at a table in the hotel restaurant. The waiter smiled, brought my plate with care, and called me ma'am. I felt a tear roll down, but it was relief. I was alone, yes, but no longer abandoned. If you made it this far, subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. You won't believe what's still to come. I woke up to golden light streaming through the linen curtains. Outside, palm trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the sea looked like it had been painted by hand. Breakfast arrived on the balcony. Perfectly cut fruit, warm croissants, strong, aromatic coffee. "Enjoy your stay, Mrs. Johnson," read the note with a smile. For a moment, I thought about calling someone to share that moment. My first instinct was to look for company. Amanda, Brian, my granddaughters, but the cruel truth quickly followed. None of them would miss me here, just as I wasn't missed by them. I put on the dark blue dress I'd always saved for a special occasion, as if my life needed someone else's approval to have moments like this. I went down to the beach. The feel of the soft sand under my feet, the sun gently on my face, the salty sea breeze, everything I needed, and yet I still felt that emptiness only known to those who've been pushed aside by the people they love. With every step, the airport scene replayed in my mind. I remembered Brian's impatient face checking the time, Amanda's indifferent voice. "We can't wait, Mom. You're always late." It had always been that way. I had to rush to be less of a bother, to fit their pace, never the other way around. As I walked, I saw other guests with their families, children laughing, couples sunbathing, groups of friends sharing jokes. And there, in the middle of paradise, I realized how much more loneliness hurts when the injustice still bleeds. I passed a group of American seniors chatting and laughing together in English. One of them, a short man with spiky white hair, was trying to climb onto a float but kept slipping, making the whole group burst out laughing. I wanted to laugh too, but I just watched, shyly, from a distance. At lunch, a surprise. The hotel manager, an elegant lady named Margot, came to my table. "Mrs. Johnson, we have your name as the winner of a month-long full stay. If you need anything, just let me know." She was so attentive that I started to feel important, for once. Still, my phone vibrated now and then. I saw a message from Amanda. "Kurt, let me know when you get to the hotel." I replied kindly, without bitterness. "I'm already here. Everything is wonderful. Are the girls okay?" No reply. It was as if my happiness was forbidden to them, as if a mother only has value when she's suffering, or when she's supporting everyone else's life. I felt a lump in my throat, but I took a deep breath and went for a swim. The water in the Seychelles is so blue it almost hurts your eyes. The touch of the salt, the sound of tropical birds, everything reminded me that the world was much bigger than the home where I'd spent years suffocating. As I swam, I was approached by a woman with gray hair and a big smile, surrounded by a group of Americans. "Are you alone, too?" "Yes, I am," I answered, a bit embarrassed. "Then come with us. Tonight is bingo and wine in the hotel lounge." I accepted the invitation, and for the first time in years, let myself truly laugh without worrying about what anyone thought. Between toasts, games, and stories, I told them about my adventure at the airport. The group was shocked. How could they do that to their own mother? "Sometimes family is just there to show you who you really are to yourself," said one of the ladies, Mary Lou. That night, I received more affection and consideration from strangers than from my own family in years. The pain was still there, but for the first time, I felt that maybe, just maybe, I could free myself from needing acceptance from those who never truly accepted me. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of fresh bread and tropical flowers someone had left at my door. For a few seconds, I forgot where I was, until I saw the card with my name written by hand. "Welcome to paradise, Ella." I felt a real burst of joy, something rare in recent years. I went down to breakfast, but couldn't put my phone down. I needed to know if Amanda had answered. Nothing. Only then did I realize how deeply I feared being forgotten for good. I turned on the hotel TV and watched the international news. It showed a heat wave in southern Europe, tourists flooding airports, delayed flights. I thought it was ironic. I'd always been the family's delay, and now I was free, living what could be both the biggest delay and the biggest opportunity of my life. Around noon, Amanda finally sent a message. "Didn't you care about ruining the girls' trip? Brian is furious. That's all anyone here talks about." I read it over and over, feeling sick to my stomach. It was always like this. Guilty for existing, guilty for being human, for needing a bathroom, for being old, for not being perfect. I wanted to reply that it wasn't fair, but I erased the words before sending. I took a hotel bike and rode along the shore. The wind, the smell of the ocean, the warmth of the sun, everything felt like freedom, but my mind kept bringing back lines from the past. I remembered the day Brian complained. "Your mom ruins every trip, Amanda. All she does is complain. All she does is mess things up." And Amanda, already tired of me, replied, "Yeah, Mom, you could try a little harder. That silent pain of being a burden, of not belonging, of never being a priority." Those memories blended with the breeze on my face and the sounds of the luxury hotel, creating a contrast between paradise and loneliness. In the afternoon, I returned to the hotel, tired. In the lobby, I ran into Mary Lou and the other ladies. They invited me on a boat trip to a deserted island. I hesitated. I should have said no, after all. Responsible mothers don't do things like that without telling anyone, without asking for permission. But I accepted, because that day I didn't want to ask permission to exist. On the island, between picnics, jokes, and silly photos, one of the ladies, Ruth, noticed my sadness. "You miss them, don't you?" "I do," I admitted, tears in my eyes. "Not the way they treat me, but the idea of family, you know?" Ruth looked at me kindly. "Real family doesn't make you ashamed of who you are." I felt such relief that I cried right there, in the middle of paradise, hugged by strangers. At the end of the trip, on the way back to the hotel, I took a photo with the group. I posted it on social media, without a caption. For the first time, I wanted Amanda and Brian to see that I was okay, maybe even happy. If you've ever felt like a burden, or someone has made you believe you don't deserve happiness, like this video and share it. Maybe you'll help someone else realize they're not alone. Dinner that night was on the hotel terrace, by candlelight, overlooking the endless blue sea. There was live music, the laughter of happy travelers, and the aroma of fresh fish mixed with the scent of bougainvillea. Sitting there, I glanced at my phone, hoping for an apology, a voice, a sign that I was missed. Nothing. No call from Amanda, no video chat with my granddaughters, not even a good night, Mom. At first, the absence hurt, as if a weight was pulling me deeper inside myself. But then, as I watched couples and groups of friends celebrating life around me, a surprising thought crossed my mind. No one here knew me. For the first time in a long while, I was just Ella. I wasn't the forgotten grandma, or the annoying mother-in-law, or the awkward mom. I was simply a woman with white hair, wearing a light blue dress with a glass of wine in her hand, and a new world before her eyes. For the first time in years, I didn't have to apologize for being slow, for laughing too loudly, for mixing up someone's name, for asking for seconds on dessert. I smiled for no reason and closed my eyes to feel the warm breeze on my face. There, I discovered that loneliness, when you stop fighting it, can turn into freedom. In the middle of dinner, Mary Lou approached me with her sharp sense of humor. "Ella, tomorrow we're going to the most famous spa on the island. Hot stone massages, mud baths, everything included. Are you coming?" "Of course," I replied, trying not to sound too excited. "No asking your daughter for permission, okay? Here, you own your own time." We laughed together, and for the first time in ages, I felt like someone wanted me around just because they liked me. When I got back to my room, I decided to write down my feelings. I took a hotel notebook and wrote about the pain of being forgotten, but also about the unexpected pleasure of being free. I wrote about the shame of needing a bathroom and being called an old people problem, but also about the pride of being here, surviving, enduring, and learning to love myself. That night, my dreams were a blur of airports, beaches, and the laughter of my granddaughters. I woke up early, my heart still aching, but curious about the day ahead. At breakfast, Ruth surprised me. "Ella, did you see the local paper?" "No? Why?" "There's a story about senior tourists rediscovering life on their own. I bet you'll be next." I smiled, not quite believing it. Me, in a news story? Me, who always feared being invisible. And that was when I decided, if the world had given me this chance, I would make every minute count. The next day dawned warm and golden. Our group decided to explore a secluded beach, famous for its turquoise water and fine sand. The morning brought a different energy. The hotel was busier than usual. Staff whispered in the hallways and guests were snapping photos at the entrance. As I came down for breakfast, a smiling receptionist surprised me. "Mrs. Ella, there's a TV crew on the island. They heard about the group of American ladies enjoying a dream vacation. They're looking for someone to interview." My first instinct was to refuse. Me, out in the open, telling everyone how I'd been forgotten at the airport? But Mary Lou wouldn't allow it. "Ella, you have an amazing story. They need to hear what a woman like you has been through, and how you overcame it." So, dressed in my best white blouse, I went to the hotel lounge. The reporter looked me up and down, then smiled politely. "Mrs. Johnson, what brought you here? so far from home and family. My throat tightened. But in front of the cameras, I decided not to hide anything. I came because I was left behind. Literally. My family boarded the plane and left me at the airport because I had one of those incidents that only people over 70 understand. I was alone, sad, but someone at the counter offered me a ticket for this trip. And you see, it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. The reporter laughed, genuinely surprised. And how has the experience been? Liberating, I replied. For the first time in decades, no one expects anything from me. I'm not a babysitter. I'm not a burden. I'm not invisible. I'm just Ella. And I'm discovering that I really like this woman. The story aired the next day and went viral on social media. The forgotten grandma who became the star of the summer. The American woman abandoned, but who turned it all around. Even people I'd never met sent messages of support. Many said, "My mother goes through this too. I wish I had half your courage." By the pool, some guests came up to me. "You're Ella, right? The one from the news." And I laughed, a bit shy, as if caught in a daydream. Between a spa massage and a boat ride, Mary Lou said, "Have you noticed? Your family may have left you, but you ended up finding a new one here." I nodded, moved. At the end of the day, I called home. Amanda answered, her voice cold, with my son-in-law grumbling in the background. "So, you're famous now?" "I didn't do anything special," I replied firmly. "I just lived what life gave me." At that moment, I felt guilt and fear being replaced by something new, self-respect. I ended the day writing in my journal. Today I discovered that being invisible doesn't hurt as much as being ignored by those who should love you. But yes, it's possible to be reborn, even at the ends of the earth. The news about me kept spreading, and in the following days, people at the hotel started treating me like a kind of local celebrity. The manager made sure I was satisfied, guests came up to chat, and even American tourists wanted to take pictures with me. "You're the grandma of the island, right? I saw your story online." Inside, I have to admit, I felt a mix of pride, amazement, and a hint of sadness. The recognition came from strangers, while my own family only knew how to criticize, ignore, and use what little I could offer. On the third morning, while having an iced coffee by the sea, I got a video call from Amanda and Brian. They looked exhausted. The kids were running in the background, fighting over silly things. For the first time, Amanda seemed unsure of herself. "Mom, I can't believe you actually went to that place on your own." Brian popped onto the screen and said bluntly, "You could have told us you were going to be some kind of tourist attraction, Ella." I wanted to hang up, but I took a deep breath, looked out at the blue sea and said, "Did you ever wonder how I felt taking care of everything by myself? Did you ever look at me as someone with dreams of her own?" Amanda looked away. Her pride kept her from apologizing, but deep down I could see she was sorry. "Mom, I didn't know." "Now you do," I replied, without bitterness, just with the serenity of someone who had finally found her own worth. I hung up and was invited to dinner with a group of Americans. Among them was a lady named Georgia, 80 years old, widowed, but full of contagious energy. She told me about her travels, her grandchildren, and how, after turning 70, she decided no one else would dictate her happiness. "You know, Ella, we live too long to spend life waiting for other people. Don't wait for recognition. Do things for yourself." After dinner, I walked along the shore. The warm night breeze and the smell of salt reminded me of when I was young, passionate, and full of expectations. I thought about my ex-husband's betrayals, about how much I gave up out of fear of being alone, and how I spent decades waiting for some kind of gratitude. But now, I was no longer the woman left behind. I was Ella Johnson, the main character of my own story. Before bed, I recorded a short video. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel for more stories like mine, because maybe what you need isn't other people's approval, but a chance to rediscover yourself. And for the first time in a long time, I lay my head on the pillow with a light heart, ready for whatever the next day would bring. Returning to the United States felt like waking up from a dream, but for the first time in years, I wasn't coming back smaller. I came back bigger. The airport looked the same, but it wasn't. I was the one who had changed. I walked through the terminal with my head held high, feeling every step as a silent victory over everything that had ever made me feel invisible. Amanda, Brian, and the girls were waiting at the exit. Amanda's look was a mix of guilt, longing, and a pride she tried to hide. Brian held the girl's hands. Even he seemed smaller now, almost embarrassed. When they saw me, little Chloe let go of her father's hand and ran straight to me. "Grandma, I saw you on TV. You're famous." She jumped into my arms, and that melted away some of the hurt. Emily, the older one, hugged me slowly, shyly. "I'm sorry, Grandma. I should have stayed with you at the airport. Mom told me you were sad." Amanda came closer, her eyes red. "Mom, there's no excuse for what we did. I was selfish. I left you alone because it seemed easier, and you've always been so strong. I didn't think it would hurt you so much." Brian cleared his throat awkwardly. "I was wrong too, Mrs. Ella. I thought, well, that I was right. But now I see you deserve respect." For the first time, I saw he was truly sorry. He wasn't putting on a show for me or the girls. It was fear of losing the woman who held the family together. I looked at my daughter, at the man she chose, and at my granddaughters, and felt a compassion that only someone who has been truly hurt can feel. Forgiveness is a precious gift. "And today, I choose to give that gift to you," I said, my voice steady even though my chest tightened. "But I want you to know that from now on, I'm going to choose myself more often." We went home, a mix of awkward silence and small attempts at conversation. Amanda showed photos from their trip, gray beaches, rushed sightseeing, expensive restaurants where the girls looked bored. I could see in their eyes the emptiness of people who had everything but lost what mattered most: presence. At dinner, I made my famous American pasta, the one only I know how to make, with my secret sauce. Amanda, a little shy, helped set the table. "Mom, if you're ever up for it, I want to travel with you again. But this time, I want it to be your way." Brian added, "I think we all still have a lot to learn." After dinner, Chloe brought me a drawing. It was me on a sunny beach, surrounded by smiling people. At the top, she wrote, "The happiest grandma in the world." I held the paper, my eyes full of tears, feeling that, in that small gesture, was the start of a new story. That night, alone in my room, I reread the messages of support from so many people I'd never met. I thought about everything I'd lived through, the betrayals, the abandonment, the fear, the humiliation. But I also thought about how much I'd grown, and about how many women, like me, just want a chance to be seen, heard, and celebrated. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it builds a bridge to the future. And for the first time in a long time, I was ready to cross it. I woke up the next day feeling a different kind of calm. Not the peace that comes from forgetting, but the relief that comes from choosing to move forward, carrying only what truly matters. When I opened the window and saw the clear Ohio sky, I thought, the world won't stop just because I was hurt, but I'm not going to shrink myself for anyone anymore. Life at home changed. Amanda and Brian, now more thoughtful, asked for my opinion on little things. Emily and Chloe insisted on sleeping over with me on weekends. Even Brian, who had always been so busy and selfish, started inviting me to join family outings. I won't lie. At first it still hurt to remember the airport, the abandonment, the things I overheard, and Brian's jokes about old people always getting in the way. But something inside me had changed forever. I started getting invitations to share my story at senior support groups. I was interviewed by local radio and newspapers. Everywhere I went, I met other women like me, full of dreams, hurts, and strength. One of them, Mrs. Hazel, told me, "Ella, you have no idea how much your courage gave me hope to start over." Suddenly, I was an inspiration. But deep down, all I wanted was to live a dignified life without the fear of being forgotten. I got a message from the journalist who found me on that beach in Greece. "Ella, your story has traveled the world. There are people who want to meet you, brands that want to sponsor you, people dreaming of being like you." For a moment, I laughed to myself. It was ironic. That woman left behind at the airport, invisible to her own family, now had fans all the way in Australia. Amanda noticed all the attention and the kindness from people. "Mom, I don't even know what to say," she started, hesitantly. "You don't have to say anything," I replied. "Just hug me." She hugged me, truly, for the first time in years. And in that hug, there was no guilt, only gratitude. The invitation for a new trip came quickly. An American travel company, moved by my story, gifted me with a new package. This time, I could bring anyone I wanted. I looked at my family and, without resentment, asked, "So, Are you ready for a fresh start? Amanda cried. Brian smiled, a little embarrassed, but said yes. Emily and Chloe jumped for joy. Before boarding, I received hundreds of messages from listeners. Ella, your story is my story. I was so moved, I shared it. I want to be strong like you. If you've ever been through something like this, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and share this story so no one is ever left invisible again. As the plane took off, I closed my eyes. I was no longer just a grandmother, just a mother, just an old woman. I was Ella Johnson, a 74-year-old woman who found dignity, forgiveness, and, above all, self-love. And the best part? There was still so much more life ahead.